Hello everybody and welcome back to another Beasts of the Mesozoic review. This is SaberRex coming to you live with the brand new Albertosaurus sarcophagus by Creative Beast Studio and David Silva in 1/18th scale. So here we are, there it is, and before we take a look at this magnificent dinosaur figure, let's take a look at the packaging for it, shall we? I do apologize if I have been out for a couple of weeks, but unpredictable events have interfered. But anyway, here is our magnificent package art for the Beast of the Mesozoic Albertosaurus, and as you can see, it has a beautiful diorama on the inside that is absolutely spectacular, and the artwork was of course done by Raf Lamoten, who I follow on DeviantArt, and he is absolutely a phenomenal artist. If you haven't seen his work on DeviantArt or ArtStation or Instagram, go do it. His work is well worth following and completely professional grade. Absolutely amazing work. But yeah, anyway, switching around to the back of the box, you can see the obligatory product shot for Albertosaurus and the other figures for Wave 3, including several figures we've already covered, including Eotyrannus, Moros intrepidus, Electrosaurus, and Gorgosaurus, which is the sister taxon to Albertosaurus, but I'll get into that more later. Inside the box, of course, you also get this special collector card with Raf Lamoten's art on the front and an obligatory product shot of the dinosaur on the back. Along with that, in the box you also get these ever important, drumroll please, instructions. And now these are very important if you want to properly put your figure together, because without them you could end up in a lot of trouble, because this figure has some tight joints which you need to loosen by way of either a hairdryer or hot water. I find the hairdryer to be the best choice because it has given me the best results, but hot water works just as well too. But again, consistent heat helps to put everything into place and make sure everything pops in and moves around smoothly. Heat is great for loosening the joints in plastic because it causes it to soften and you can move the figure's joints without potentially damaging it. But anyway, that's that, and let's move on to the figure, shall we? But yeah, you'll definitely need these, so pay attention to them. Make sure you listen, remember what they say, and you'll have no problem. So, moving back to the Albertosaurus himself, as you can see, he is a magnificent, yeah, absolutely magnificent figure. This is arguably my favorite of the Wave 3 Tyrannosaurs in regards to the color scheme. This is absolutely gorgeous. The coloration is based off an Australian water dragon, which is a real lizard, and it absolutely works better than I could have imagined for Albertosaurus. I mean, look at that. Just look at that. That's gorgeous. And you can see all that detail is absolutely highlighted in the look at in the paint job of the Albertosaurus. I mean, look at all of that. Just the browns, the yellows, the pale whitish gray. Just utterly spectacular, and especially with the red eyes, which you can see close up with this image here. And yeah, absolutely an amazing amazing sculpt. I mean, look at all those neck wrinkles and everything. Just fantastic. Yeah. And yeah, this Albertosaurus, he is fantastic. I mean, look at the detail in the mouth too. It really does look like how the inside of a dinosaur's mouth might look. Very wet looking, beautifully sculpted, lots of tones of pink and kind of a purpley for the back of the throat, but just incredible work. I mean, look at the scale detail too. I mean, look at that, how that shines. Just absolutely beautiful. Now, in regards to articulation, Albertosaurus, like all the other large tyrannosaurs, has 22 points of articulation, including on his tongue. And he does have opening and closing jaws that close really well on this figure. So the mouth can move and the tongue moves, but I'm not going to mess with the tongue, honestly, because there is evidence to show that dinosaurs, particularly theropods, could not move their tongues. Herbivorous dinosaurs were another matter, but carnivorous ones could not move their tongues. But anyway, in addition to his mouth moving and his tongue, he also has joints in his neck, which he can move right and left, like so. He's got joints in the torso that move right and left. Now, I'm not going to move these too much because when I had to heat him up, I actually had to sort of pop him in half in order to properly fix the ball joint in the torso. So I'm not going to move that too much, but he can move up and down quite a bit, more than I'm showing here. The arms can also move significantly. He can do a full 360 with his arms, but I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that with his arms because I'm afraid of accidentally popping them out, and I don't want to do that. The elbow can move about, I would say, about 90-degree bend. The wrists can also swivel, and they're kind of stiff at the joint there, but they can swivel, so you can get some nice poses in there. And the wrist can do a full 360 if you want, but I'm not going to do that again, for obvious reasons. The knees on these standing legs can also move about 90 degrees. And yeah, he's very, very stable once you get him to stand up. The tail also has some beautiful articulation as well, in the fact that it can move right and left. Oh, and of course, as if to show off the fact that this toy can come apart as needed, the tail can come apart as needed for assembly. It popped off. But yeah, there is a wire also in the last third of the tail, so you can do a lot with that, but yeah, I like to just have him kind of pose like this. But you can do a lot with him. And I absolutely love the amount of work that was put into this figure. It is absolutely fantastic. And it really shows. I mean, yeah, Albertosaurus has been really brought to life by this figure. This is better than anything that Jurassic World has come up with for its toy line. It's better than the old Carnegie line Albertosaurus, which I actually have. And that was really little. That was like maybe about the size of the smaller figures in this Beasts of the Mesozoic toy line. So about 10 inches. Or actually, no, not even 10 inches. It was about 8 inches, I should say. But yeah, absolutely fantastic toy. And he really stands up pretty well. Although he does have a little trouble at some points in regards to his balance. So I generally have to have him kind of rear up a little bit just so he can stand up. However, because he comes with this beautiful stand that is included with all the figures, whether large or small, and varying in size from depending on the figure, I can actually pose him pretty well. This is actually the half of. This is actually basically half of the stand that comes with the Tyrannosaurus Rex, but it works really well for Albertosaurus, and you get it with all the figures. It does have a detachable piece, which you can take off by means of removing this little I-beam cross-section piece, but I'm not going to remove that because that's actually kind of wedged in pretty tight. But yeah, this can be popped into the joint, popped into the bottom of the standing feet, so you can actually put it on the stand for display. I don't recommend putting them on the stands for long-term display though, because it can possibly warp the inside of the peg hole on the bottom of the feet. Now, moving on, he does also come with some other accessories, which are, in this case, an extra set of legs and feet. In this case, you get to see he has left and right feet, which you can pose with the figure, and he also comes with extra sets of toes, and which you can pose for, which you can pop on and off the movable feet for better display. So he's got sets of sets of closed toes for when he's running, and you've got sets of mid-stride toes like this for when the dinosaur is taking a step. Now, I'm not going to pop them onto the feet, well, onto the lower legs, but I am going to show you how the legs actually pop onto the knee by actually taking one of them out. So all you gotta do is gently, like so, pop this out, and of course mine are kind of in there pretty good, so they got that going on for them. Now what you do is you gently pop this in like so until it fits snugly inside. And now for the fun part. We gently put him on like this with the peg gently fitting in underneath. And of course, there you have your Albertosaurus on his stand, and he looks incredible. And Albertosaurus is arguably one of the cooler tyrannosaurs that's been discovered, and I'll tell you a little bit about this creature. It's been found mainly in Canada, and yeah, as its name suggests, Alberta, Canada, to be specific. One of the best places to find it is the Horseshoe Canyon Formation, and it has been found in other fossil formations, and yeah, it has been found in other fossil formations, but I'm not going to name them all because it was fairly widespread. But this was a tyrannosaur that generally preferred the northern areas of North America during the late Cretaceous, about 70 million years ago. It is the sister taxon to Gorgosaurus, as I stated previously, so they are each other's closest relatives, and it is quite likely that Gorgosaurus is in fact the ancestor of Albertosaurus. They actually belong to the same subfamily of tyrannosaurs called Albertosaurinae, and it's just these two that make up that small subfamily. Yeah, it was originally believed that Electrosaurus was part of that family, but that was later disproven because it has been found to be more primitive. But Albertosaurus is definitely one of the more well-known tyrannosaurs we have skeletons for, because this tyrannosaur actually is, it's known from skeletons of fully grown adults that were very, very old, all the way down to 2-year-old babies. So we have a good understanding of how this dinosaur not only grew up and matured, but in fact, probably its family life. There is an entire bone bed where Albertosaurus have been found. Roughly about 30 individuals have been found. And it's been discovered that they probably hunted in groups, or if not hunted in groups, then they certainly lived in large social, perhaps clans. But yeah, it's possible that they could have been washed together, but given the number of Albertosaurus, that does not seem likely, as these animals would probably need a very large territory in order to feed themselves. And so many coming together from across different areas of so many different ages is pretty unlikely, unless there was something going on, like super scavenging event or something. But honestly, there isn't much other evidence for other dinosaurs being found in that area, in that bone bed. It's just the Albertosaurus. So it's quite likely that they were social. And there's evidence that other tyrannosaurs were social too, including Tarbosaurus, Teratophonius, Tyrannosaurus rex itself, and there's even evidence that a few other tyrannosaurs, like Daspletosaurus, were also social in addition. Gorgosaurus, we don't exactly know whether it was as social as Albertosaurus, but it's possible. Or it may have simply just lived alone or in mated pairs. No one really knows, but yeah, it's quite likely that Albertosaurus was one of the most social tyrannosaurs. And if you can imagine a pack of 30 Albertosaurs of different ages living together and perhaps hunting together, that's pretty scary to think about. Now, Albertosaurus was also contemporary with a lot of other dinosaurs that are very familiar to us, including, but not limited to, Parasaurolophus, Pachyrhinosaurus, some of the later ceratopsians like Orinoceratops and Anchiceratops, and yeah, they all would have been on the menu for Albertosaurus. This was not an animal that was going to turn its nose up at much. But while this animal was ruling pretty much the northern area of North America, in the southern part, there were other tyrannosaurs, including the newly discovered Tyrannosaurus macraensis, that were taking down prey further south, in places like Utah or Texas. So we do have an idea of what kind of animals were living there, but we don't entirely know. But we don't entirely have a complete record of them elsewhere other than Alberta. But Albertosaurus was definitely one of the most formidable predators in its range, and it would have pursued the hadrosaurs and ceratopsians that it lived with. And it's quite likely that it was eventually driven to extinction by competition from the ancestors of Tyrannosaurus as they moved north, among other things, and perhaps warming climate as well. Because there's no record of anything past Albertosaurus around 66 million years ago. Tyrannosaurus had completely taken over by that time, and it's quite likely that competition plus the changing climate that was more suitable for a Tyrannosaurus may have been a factor in its extinction. That and the western interior seaway slowly receding may have also been something that contributed to its extinction. But yeah, it was definitely not an animal that was around for as long as some other tyrannosaurs, but it was not the shortest lived genus of tyrannosaur. And it's definitely one I think we need to learn a lot more about. It's fascinating. And I really enjoy the fact that it's been in such public media as Prehistoric Park and Primeval New World, if anyone remembers that. It's also been in all sorts of dinosaur documentaries, including March of the Dinosaurs and The Ultimate Guide T-Rex, for anyone who remembers that old 90s documentary. But yeah, this is definitely one of the more interesting dinosaurs within the Tyrannosaur family, and I am exceedingly glad that David brought it back to life. Now, in regards to price, in the toy line, Albertosaurus is one of the more expensive figures. It is about $140 on CreativeBeast.com and Big Bad Toy Store and everything, and close to that on Everything Dinosaur UK. But yeah, it's definitely not as expensive as T-Rex itself. It's pretty close, but not like 220 like Tyrannosaurus itself, or rather, I should say, the Tyrannosaurus figures that I have. But it is definitely worth buying if you have the money saved up, and I can't recommend it enough. It is beautiful to have it. It is approximately 20 inches long, and yeah, give or take, it is about a little over 6 inches high at the hip. Yeah, but definitely one of the more, definitely one of the larger ones. And this is about 1/18 scale for Albertosaurus. Yeah, almost 7.5 inches, maybe almost 8 inches at the head in regards to the Albertosaurus, but that may be because of the way I've posed it. But yeah, it's definitely one of the larger figures in the toy line. It's definitely a heavy figure, not as heavy as the gigantic T-Rex, which I will compare it to in a later video once we have all the beasts of the Mesozoic Tyrannosaurs together. But it is, yeah, it's still very sizable, and yeah, it's definitely about as heavy as some of the larger ceratopsians. Maybe a little lighter, but not by much. Like, I would say its weight is comparable to something like the Utah Ceratops or the Pachyrhinosaurus figure from the Ceratopsian line in regards to its weight. It's definitely got some real heft to it, but I don't think it could honestly be said to be super heavy. It's certainly big enough that you can it's certainly big enough that you can scale it properly with a lot of other dinosaurs in the toy line, including Chasmosaurus, Styracosaurus, and yeah, definitely the Pachyrhinosaurus, although the Pachyrhinosaurus itself is a little large. That's closer to like 1/13th scale for that particular dinosaur. But you could compare that and say it's a very large Pachyrhinosaurus. Yeah, but if you were to put a like 1/18th scale human alongside, that would come out to about a 3.75-inch figure. So that's about the size of your average Star Wars figure or your average Jurassic Park figure in regards to the people. So that's pretty sizable. And I gotta admit, it's definitely one of my favorites. As I said before, the colors are just absolutely gorgeous. The sculpt is fantastic, and yeah, I can't recommend it enough. It is definitely a figure worth collecting, and I really look forward to doing all sorts of cool things with this. I mean, I love using these toys for like sculpting, well, not just sculpting reference, but artistic reference as well, just in regards to the color scheme and the figure itself for the pose. So yeah, this is very, very helpful in regards to my artistic endeavors, in regards to improving my artwork. But you can also use it for photo shoots. You can use it for dioramas, pretty much anything you want. And I bet if you had some sort of stop motion winder to support it, you could also use it for traditional animation, but you'd probably have to be very careful in regards to that, or very, very clever, because unless he's standing still, he's not going to stand up all that well. Yeah, but if someone can find a way to use him for stop motion in that regard, it would be amazing. Because honestly, that's another thing I'd really like to do with this particular figure. But anyway, again, $140 figure. If you got the money for it, it's well worth your time. And I can't recommend it enough. This is arguably one of my favorites in the entire toy line. I mean, T-Rex definitely surpasses him. I'm not going to lie about that, but this figure is absolutely... yeah, this figure is absolutely wonderful. Like, I can't even... I don't even have the words to describe how amazing this figure is. So this is SaberX signing off, saying, you're never too old to play with toys. Be a toy nerd. Be proud of it. Thank you. Please like, and subscribe for more content like this. Leave a comment and hit the bell icon if you want to see what I'm coming out with next. And remember to hit all so you're alerted to it. Thank you and have a good evening. Bye-bye.